Ratios and proportions. Let's do this. So we know that a ratio is a comparison of numbers, usually written as a fraction or a ratio, or we can even just say, 2 to 1, which I'm sure you've heard of ratios or comparisons many times. You can think about it in terms of baking or cooking, whatever. So proportion is just two equal ratios. So the numbers here in blue are your extremes, and the numbers here in red are your means. So let's just think about some sort of ratio that you're already familiar with in geometry. That would be slope. Slope is just the ratio of how far you rise over how far you run. So when you work with a slope, all you're doing is just 6 minus 4 over 8 minus 2. That's going to give you 2/6, which is 1/3. That's your slope, but that's the ratio of how far you rise over how far you run, because 2/6 is the same as 1/3. So when we go to proportions, those are two ratios that are equal, and we could use algebra to solve for a missing term. So for example, if we have 2/6, which is equal to something over 9, some of you can just sit there and think about it. 2/6 is 1/3, so that means x would have to be 3/9 to be, or it would have to be 3, so you can have a fraction of 3/9, which will reduce to 1/3. But not all of them can be done that easily, so what we use is cross multiplication. So you're just going to multiply those guys, 2 times 9, and you have 18. Then you write an equal sign. And then you cross multiply the other way. 6 times x is 6x. So you have 6x, which is equal to 18. That means you know x is equal to 3. So if it can't be done really simply, then all you have to do is use cross multiplication to solve. Okay? So one thing to be careful with is in, say, this example right here, or in one of these examples right here, when you have a binomial, you should wrap parentheses around it. So that way, in this case, when you multiply x plus 3 and x minus 3, you remember to FOIL. And this would be x times x plus 4. Sometimes it's helpful to actually write it out before actually doing all the work in your head. So you would say x plus 3 times x minus 3 is equal to 2 times 8, which would be 16. Okay? So this is all just algebra right here. So what I would like you to do is just pause the video and see if you can solve all of these correctly on your own. So give it a try. And there you go. So you should have 3x times 5 is going to give you your 15x, and 3 times 10 is 30, so you get x is equal to 2. 2x squared is equal to 32, so you're going to get x is equal to plus or minus 4. This one was x squared minus 9 is equal to 16, so add your 9 to both sides and square root it, and you get plus or minus 5. And for this guy, you're just going to have to end up factoring after you bring the 12 over to the left, and you're going to get a 6 and a negative 2, which is going to give you x is equal to a negative 6 and a positive 2. And that's it. That's all just algebra skills. Okay? So next is writing ratios in terms of x over y. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to get x over y. So that means x is on this side, so you need to divide this side by y. So now you have 2x over y is equal to 6. So now you just need to get this side by itself. So you need to divide both sides by a 2. And that's going to give you x over y is equal to 3. And that's it. You just want to make sure you get x over y. So you get to try the next one. So x over y means you need to divide this side by the y. So that means you need to divide 12 to that side, and you're going to get 1/4 is equal to x over y. And that's it. It's just rearranging so you have the ratio x over y. So now let's just tie it to a little bit of geometry. So it says the ratio of an angles are 3 to 6 to 9. Well, ratios, that's going to be, for a triangle, they have to add up to 180 degrees. So if it helps you, you can draw a triangle. This guy's 3x, this guy's 6x, and this guy's 9x. All you have to do is throw an x on each one of these ratio parts. Find the measure of each angle. So we know triangles always add up to 180, so 9 plus 3 plus 6 is going to give us 18x is equal to 180, so x equals 10. All you have to do is substitute it back in, so you're going to get 30, 60, and 90. And that's it. It's just that simple. Now, in the next example, however, you have the ratio of the angles in a parallelogram are 2 to 3. So this one, don't be tempted to just say 2x plus 3x is equal to 360 because, number one, it's no longer a triangle. So it's a quadrilateral, and those add up to 360. Number two, that's only two angles. So if you draw a parallelogram, you're going to have a 2x and a 3x. But remember, opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent. So you need to add all of these up and say 10x is equal to 360. So that means x is equal to 36. So to go find the measure of each angle again, all you have to do is substitute it back in. So you are going to have 72 degrees and 108 degrees. All right? So, last one's a challenge problem. The ratio of the angles in an isosceles triangle are 2 to 5. Find the measure of each angle. So it sounds pretty simple. But you have to remember this is an isosceles triangle. So go ahead, pause the video, and see if you can come up with the answer to this challenge problem on your own. Let's see how you did. Now, the reason why this is a challenge is because it's an isosceles triangle, number one. That's not the challenging part. The ratio is 2 to 5. That's still not the challenging part. So you have a 2x and you have a 5x. Because in isosceles triangles, the base angles have to be congruent, so the other one gets a 5x. So you're just going to say 5x plus 2x is going to give you 12x, and that's going to be equal to 180, and you're going to end up with x is equal to 15. So you're going to go find the measure of each angle, and you're going to come up with 30, and you're going to come up with 75 and 75. And you're like, wow, that's not that tough, except for the fact that there are two possible options here. What if the vertex angle was your 5x and the base angles were your 2x and 2x? So that's where the trick comes in. There are two different solutions to this problem. So you have a 5x, a 2x, and a 2x. So now you're going to have 9x is equal to 180. So x is equal to 20. And then you're going to have your 40, 40, and 100. All right. That's it for ratios and proportions. This is Longo, and I'm out. See you, bye.